In the name of Allah, the Gracious, the Merciful, dear students, hope you are all fine. I am sharing another video lecture with you, and the title of this lecture is Qualities and Importance of Good Reading. The main outline of this lecture is in this lecture, I will talk about qualities of good reading, objects of reading, importance of reading, reading techniques, and kinds of. At the end of this lecture, you all will be able to know about different types of reading skills. You will also be able to know about qualities and importance of good reading skills. So before talking about qualities of good reading, first of all I will tell you what is reading. Reading is one of the most important skills among the four skills of communication. It is a conscious and deliberate process. We can become good readers by practice. In our professional life, we have to deal with material like memos, pamphlets, manuals, journals, reports, and books. We can know about these things if we have the art of reading. First, try to answer the basic questions as to why we read. We read in order to gather information. Reading enriches our knowledge about different fields of life, like listening. Reading too is not just a passive activity. A good reader has to understand the meaning of the words in context. He has to relate sentences to each other and see how information fits together in a meaningful way. Reading requires practice. It also depends on our creativity and critical analysis. So now what are different qualities of good reading? A good reading has following qualities. The first is it is constructive. It means that a good reader reads something to add to his knowledge and information. The second quality of good reading is it is fluent. A good reader is very fast at reading. He does not take pains to understand a thing. His comprehension skills is automatic, it is spontaneous and free from deliberate attention. The third quality is strategic. A good reader reads a thing keeping in view the main theme of the reading material. Last but not the least, the fourth quality is motivated. A good reader enjoys the reading material, he takes interest in it, he feels inspired by it. So these are different qualities of good reading. Now I will talk about objects of reading. Reading is a complex activity to understand a thing. Reading has the following objects. The first is valuable information, as reading gives us valuable information about different areas of life. The second object is enriches our knowledge. It enriches our knowledge on different literary, scientific, and technical topics. The third object is improves our grammar and use of words. It strengthens our knowledge of grammar and use of words. It means it builds up our spelling and pronunciation. The fourth object is it enhances our skill of word recognition and it also helps us in comprehension. Now I will tell you the importance of reading. A good reader enjoys reading. A student who is fast at reading can understand a paragraph more easily than that of a slow reader. Reading is very important for following reasons. The first is learning of new things. A reader of books and journals learns new things in all fields of life. It may lead him to explore and discover new things for himself. It can lead him to success in different fields of life. Reading endows a reader with exploration and understanding. The second importance is reading may lead a person to his self improvement. It is through reading that he may see the destructive effect of following a life of evils and sins. He may realize the shortcomings of his personality. After reading a good book, he may give up his bad habits and may become a morally sound person. The third importance is inspiration. Reading may inspire you to plunge into action to fulfill good and useful things. You may learn useful recipes for good food cooking. You may learn new ways of playing cricket or chess. You may learn new tunes of music. You can put into practice all these things after you stop reading. The fourth importance is enriches expertise. Reading enriches our experience. When you read a book, you go through the experience of somebody else. You study the shortcomings and mistakes which that person committed in his life. You add to your knowledge about the factors which have brought to him his tragic failure. You try to avoid that. The art of reading, in fact, adds to our art of leading a better life. The fifth importance of reading is tool of communication. Reading is a great tool of communication. It is through reading that we understand the message of the other party. After reading his letter, memo, or notice, we gave him a feedback either verbally or in writings. The sixth importance of reading is enriches creativity. Reading excites our creative and critical thinking. We read something in silence. Silence makes our mind fully attentive and focused on reading material. Our imagination gets inspired. Our thinking develops. The process of reading develops our thinking faculty. We can say that reading is very useful creative activity. Last but not the least importance of reading is amusement. Reading is an enjoyable activity. When we are tired and bored, we read something to become busy mentally. Reading refreshes our mind. We are lost into reading material and enjoy the different incidents, situations, and modes of life written in the book. So these are different important elements which are very important and which shows the importance of reading. Now I'm going to talk about reading techniques and types. All those techniques and types which are important and which are used by a person during reading process. The first technique is skimming, the second is scanning, the third is intensive, the fourth is extensive, and now we are going to discuss all these techniques and types one by one. The first technique of reading is skimming. Skimming means reading something, a passage or article, etc., very quickly in order to find out more or less what it is about. By running our eyes quickly over the text, we can get the gist of main idea without worrying about details. So there are two main reasons that why do we skim. The first reason is when we do not have time or may not be interested. Very often we do not have time or we may not be interested to read everything in detail. We may just want to discover something useful in the reading material without bothering about the details. The second important reason that why do we skim is to decide whether the particulars of a book or article are relevant or not. At times we need to skim through a few pages of a book or an article in order to decide whether the particulars of a book or article deserve a detailed and careful reading or not. If it deserves, then we go for reading. If it does not deserve, then we do not read it. So these are two important reasons that why do we skim. Now I will talk about advantages of skimming. There are many advantages of skimming. Skimming helps us in several ways. It answers the question who the audience is, whether the text is written for professionals, laymen, a particular target group, or the general public. It also answers the question what kind of text it is, whether it is a report, letter, or article, or what is the purpose of the author about his writing of the book, whether it is to describe, inform, or to entertain, or what is the context, whether context is specific or the context is general. Skimming is done when we want to know some specific information related to a topic or theme. The skill of skimming allows us to read the headline, titles, subheadings, and illustrations with captions. Skimming also makes us aware about the dates, names, places, or specific items. It also allows for the reader to review charts, tables, and paragraphs quickly. Now the question is when skimming is required. Skimming is required in three situations. The first is pre-reading. Skimming can be useful if you do it before reading a thing thoroughly. The second is reviewing. It is required for reviewing the text already read. And the third is reading. It is required when we do not want to have a detailed study of a thing. So these are three different situations where we need skimming. The first is pre-reading, when we do it before reading. The second is reviewing, when the text already read. And the third is reading, when it is required when we do not want to have a detailed study of a thing. This is my last topic. In this topic, I will talk about steps in skimming an article. So important steps are, first of all, read the title. After reading the title, read the first line of each paragraph. After reading the first line of each paragraph, read the subheadings. After that, read the facts and figures if you find in the paragraph. Last but not the least, read the final paragraph completely. By following these 5 steps, you will be able to skim the paragraph or the passage completely, and you will get the main idea of the paragraph. So these 5 steps will help you to understand or summarize the passage or paragraph completely. Dear students, this is the end of my lecture, and I hope that you have got the concept regarding qualities and importance of good reading, and you have also got the concept of skimming. The other techniques, other types of reading, I will discuss in next lecture, lecture number 12.